How would you like to come back from your holidays still feeling great, feeling slim, feeling healthy, feeling energetic, not feeling knackered, and feeling like you had a hell of a holiday? You had fun, you recharged, you refreshed, but you're coming back ready to go, not feeling like your worst. Something that interests you? Welcome to the latest episode of the My Body Health podcast. And on this particular episode, I'm going to address holidays and how to tackle them. And whether it be a thing of jet lag, whether it be feeling fat and sluggish and tired, whatever it may be, not knowing how to navigate holidays and not coming back 7, 10, 14 pounds heavier, this is the episode for you. I'm going to share with you. I once went on, I think it was a week-long holiday. I think it was only 1 week, and I gained about 10 pounds. So there's a record for you. But the good news is I got rid of it within about a week. So this is what I want to share with you, but I don't want you to have to go through that type of torture I had to go through, because it's avoidable. And that's the good news. So if you implement the tips I'm going to share with you on this particular episode, you will go away and have your holiday and you will enjoy it. You'll have fun. You'll have a great time. You'll refresh. You'll recharge. You'll have all your favorites things, whether it be alcohol, food, whatever it may be. But you won't come back having gained loads of weight, feeling terribly sluggish, and being impacted by it for weeks on end. So let's get into it. So first of all, whenever you're going on holidays, I'm a big fan of with holidays that it's switch off. I'm a big fan of you're on. If you're on, you're on. You're off, you're off. Okay. So when you're on your normal mode, when you're not on holidays, for instance, you have your on mode. So whatever it is, whether it be work, whether it be college, whether it be your family, whether it be whatever projects and things you're working on, daily demands, taking care of yourself, self-care, all the things like that around exercise, food, sleep, and so on, you're on. It's not negotiable. It's happening. That's it. And I'm always speaking about being ever evolving. You're always looking at how to improve. And then when you're off, you're off. That applies in the week where 1 or 2 days you're off, no rules, and you 5 or 6 that are on. But let's go back to holidays again. So you're on your on mode. The day you go on your holidays, let's say if you're flying on a Friday morning, off. Wake up, you're off. So there's no rules. You do what you want within reason. Now, what I'm going to do is share with you tips that, yes, you're doing what you want within reason, no real rules, but you're doing it strategically, so you're minimizing the impact on you in how you feel. Because who the hell wants to feel like shit? Why not avoid that if you can avoid it, both during it as well as importantly after? Because what typically happens after a holiday, people with the right intentions will they'll go, oh, I'm going to get right back on it. But usually you feel so bad after a holiday in terms of sluggish, tired, fat, all these different things, that you don't get back on track. And all you end up doing is compounding the problem, making it even worse. So this is why I want to prevent happening to you and to not take from your holiday. That's the most important thing, because look, you only get a couple of weeks holidays a year, most people anyway. You want to enjoy them. You want to thrive in them. You want to create precious memories. You want to have a lot of bloody fun and do the stuff that's against no rules. This is why I stress again, on and off mode. Most people are too off all the time when they're telling themselves they're on. So press the off switch when you wake up. And if you're on a plane, that's if you're going abroad or depending where you're living across country. So from that moment you get up, you're off. And you don't switch the on button on again until you come back. And then you get on immediately the next day or that day if it's early morning arrival, okay? Now, what's important to do is when you're going on a holiday, decide what it is you want to do. For some people, they want to completely switch off and just go hell for leather and eat and drink all they possibly can. They eat and drink their own body weight every single day. And that's what they want to do, and that's their holiday, and that's it. Now, if that's what you want to do, cool. But if you want to go on a holiday and you want to enjoy it, but you also don't want to come back having gained loads of weight, feeling terrible, not liking how you feel and look, not liking how clothes feel, being tired, sluggish, all that, none of that needs to happen. But you have to have a bit of a strategy. So, I always say to clients that it's either, okay, are you switching off completely? Or maybe you want to go somewhere in the middle, or maybe you want to actually be good. Now, I'm not a big fan of being good on holidays in terms of when I say be good, I mean that you're aiming that you're going to stay on track. You're going to stay exactly to your normal plan and stick to your food, your exercise plan, the whole lot. I'm not a fan of that. Various reasons. Most important one being, if you're typically on it, and when you're on, you're on. When you're off, you need to be off, and properly off, because it's important for a mental and physical reset and biological reset. It's not actually good for you to be all the time perfect. The body needs to shock. The body needs something different to have to work with. And you mentally, most importantly, need that reset as well. You need that switch off. It's hard, it's mentally draining, energetically draining to be on all the time. It's amazing, it's enriching, and it's how people need to be living. But it's just important as having that off switch for when you're on holidays. So I'm not a fan of people going, which has happened over the years. We go, no, you know what? I'm going to stick to everything. I'm going to be perfect in my holidays. No, don't. Don't aim for that. Never aim for that. Unless, let's say, you're preparing for a competition or a big training event like an Ironman or a marathon or something like that, and it's the holidays falling in the middle of the time before it, and you want to stay on track, and you want to stay on plan. That's logical, you know. So that's fine. But if that's not the case, switch off, no rules, and so on. But strategize. So simple things like, let's say if you're okay, I want to enjoy myself, have a great holiday, but I don't want to come back hugely overweight and feeling terrible. Well, a very simple ways of doing it is you have typically breakfast, lunch, dinner on most days. So have a good breakfast. And depending on where you're staying, there's all the good options, there's all the bad options, but have a good breakfast. Have a nice, reasonably healthy lunch. For your dinner then, if you want to have dessert, wine, beer, whatever it may be, you have that. After dinner drinks, whatever it may be, you have that. That's your release. So every single day you get to enjoy that. And even if during the day, let's say again, you're going to a hot place and on holidays, you like to have an ice cream every day, or at lunch, you might like to have just a piece of cake and coffee or a pastry. That could be your lunch. The thing is, the big thing that kills people on holidays, they're eating their normal amount of calories in terms of their eating, but then they're eating thousands extra because they're eating loads of junk on top of what their normal calorie intake is, and they're also consuming loads of alcohol calories on top of that too. Now, alcohol calories are the worst because alcohol calories, they're not nutrients of any kind. So what they are, they just convert to fat. That's it. And also, in terms of energy expenditure, the body will always try and expel and use up alcohol and get out of the system because it is a poison. So we'll use that for energy. So it's not using carbohydrates. So all the food you're eating, all the carbohydrates and the fats and the proteins, they go to the back of the queue in terms of energy expenditure. The alcohol is what gets used first. So for most people when they're on holidays, even though they might be walking around a lot and doing activities and whatever, a lot of them they're barely even touching their carb intake, which means what has to happen is it has to convert to fat. And then the fat intake chews you up, and that's going to be fat in the body. So that's why people gain so much excess weight. As well as if you don't burn up the alcohol, it's going to convert to fat anyway. Now, again, I'm not telling you not to drink alcohol. I just want to make you aware of the reality and the facts. That's what I'm all about. You make your own informed decisions of what you want to do, okay? But what you want to do is, let's say you consume 2,000 calories on your on phase. That's your normal. You can go on holidays, have a great time, and you might consume 2,500 or something. But what you don't want to be consuming is 4,000 calories, which is what happens most people, because they're usually having a big fatty breakfast with all like loads of really unhealthy fatty foods. They might have again a lunch that's really great, having a big dinner, 3-4 courses, again more fatty kind of foods than normal, loads of alcohol, plenty of alcohol throughout the day, depending on where you are, and maybe you're in a bottomless alcohol place or all you can eat because you've paid all inclusive or whatever it may be. Be smart about it. You can have a great time without gaining loads of weight. And remember, it's not just about gaining weight, it makes you feel so sluggish and it makes you feel terrible within yourself when you come back to normality. So that's what we're trying to avoid. So if you have a reasonable breakfast, a reasonable lunch, and even if the lunch has a little bit of cake or something like that, the main thing is minimizing your alcohol, not drinking it all day. Or if you are, over the course of the day, you might drink 5 or 6 drinks versus it being, you might have bloody Prosecco for breakfast, which a lot of places have that, or champagne. Then you have a couple of pints at lunch, and then you have a big feed of drink and shots and everything in dinner. Even just in the alcohol intake, you're probably taking in 2,000 calories. And that's even including all the food you're eating. And when you drink, you always want more foods. Then you're eating late at night. All that's going to convert to fat too. Does that make sense? So keep it reasonable throughout the day. And if you want an ice cream or, again, a bar of chocolate or a piece of cake or the odd drink here and there, that's fine. But be aware of the overall. And if you live like that, basically, and you're keeping generally reasonably active, on holidays, people vary. Some people are very active. They're sightseeing all the time. They're walking everywhere. They're doing water sports. They're doing hiking. They're doing all kinds. Other people literally lie in a sun lounger for a week or two. Whichever you decide to do, you do. That's your choice. It's your holiday. And again, be off, switch off. That's the most important thing to do. It's a holiday. It's the whole point of it. Do you, but be conscious of what you're doing. Okay, be very conscious of what you're doing in terms of the overall. So as I said, you balance it between really enjoying yourself, doing things you like, eating things you like, drinking things you like, but being conscious of the overall. There's no rules with some control, if that makes sense. Okay. And once you do that, you'll feel good. You'll come back feeling reasonably good. Even if you gain some weight, it'll just be a couple of pounds. It won't be like a stone, which is very easy to happen. Like I said, for me, I gained, it was a stone or close to it in just 1 week. But it was eating everything possible. It was drinking every single day, and not just drinking a bit, I mean drinking a lot. So it can happen very, very easily. Because remember, it's all excess, and excess has to go somewhere. Okay. Um, so around alcohol, that's that. The other thing to do as well, it's really important, is drinking lots of water. And that doesn't matter whether you're in a hot location or a not hot location. Drink lots of water in general because it helps to process what you're consuming. It helps to process the nutrients. It helps to get the toxins out of your body. And remember, toxins is what causes inflammation, and inflammation will cause, again, all kinds of effects in your body. And also, if things are not processed through your body fast enough, you're going to have more likelihood of storing more fat. Okay. And this is why, again, it's important just to drink lots of water, whether you like it or not. Now, if you're in a hot country, you probably drink more water than you normally do. So that'll be fine. But be constantly drinking lots all the time to flush out your system. Drinking alcohol or not drinking alcohol, flush the system because there's lots of toxins in it. There's toxins in the food depending on what you're eating. So keep flushing and flushing and flushing. Plus, with it, here's the tip, but if you put this into practice, I can guarantee you never have a hangover. And I promise you this, if you do this. So drink water before drinking, drink water while you're drinking, most importantly. That's the most important one. And then drink water after drinking. Okay, so before, during, and after. Because what you're doing is you keep the body flushing out toxins, you're keeping yourself hydrated, because hangovers are basically dehydration. That's the most important part of it. That's why you've got a headache. That's why you feel like crap. It's because your body's completely dehydrated. Because water, after oxygen, is the most important source that our body needs. So if you're lacking water, dehydrated, your body will suffer. So drink lots of water before, importantly during it. Just every so often ask the bar for a pint of water and throw it down. I can guarantee you'll have no hangover. That's a huge bonus, but also, as I said, it'll help you feel better. It'll help you to have less munchies after the drinking then as well and the next day. Okay. Now let's tackle the thing of if you're traveling across the world, jet lag situation. This is a tough one for people. So, you leave a country in one time zone, you come to another country in another time zone, and usually it's the opposite. And usually people will arrive in the morning, but it's actually nighttime that they're used to from where they flew from, or it could be the other way around. Okay. It is very important that you switch ASAP. Okay. Now, for instance, if you sleep on the plane, most of the time that's not be a good thing, because especially depending on what time you're flying from. Okay. Because what you ideally want to do is go to the time zone of where you're going to, which means you may suffer a bit. So if you leave in the afternoon and you're flying, let's say, west, I think it would be, when you get there, it might be only afternoon, but for you, it's 11 or 12 o'clock at night. It might even be past your bedtime. You're going to feel like you need to go to sleep. But the most important thing is that you stay up. Because what happens if you go to sleep then, even for an hour or two nap, you're still on your own home time. You're not on where you are time. And then you're going to suffer for a few days. And if your sleep is totally erratic, one, you're not going to feel good, your energy's not going to be good, your brain function, all that stuff, your moods, but also your hormones, and everything will be all over the place. And go back to, again, if you're in college, you're consuming all, more fatty stuff and sugary stuff and alcohol and all that kind of thing. Your body won't be able to process it as well, which means you'll have an amplified negative impact from those things being in your body. So it's really important that when you land, you live off what it's like there. You adjust immediately to their schedule. Okay. So that's really, really important. So, when you get in the plane, what is the time there, and live off that. So even let's say if you're leaving at 10 o'clock in the morning, but you're going to the East Coast of America from Europe, that's 5 hours behind. So that's 3 o'clock in the morning. So in essence, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. If you get on that plane, you feel like dozing, don't doze. Don't go to sleep. So important you don't. Stay awake, get there, stay awake, and you might go to bed at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock your time, PM, and then you'll have a great sleep. You wake up next morning, you're in their time zone. Okay? And it's the same like the reverse. When you're coming back, what is the time and where you're going to, and then live off that time zone for the day. Because at least that way, then you're adjusting immediately. Okay. You will have to go through a bit of suffering. You will go through a bit of sleep deprivation and tiredness and so on. But it's only for that day. It's only for that day. And then you fully adjust because otherwise it could be a week. Some people suffer with jet lag for a week or two. That's the reason they're not adjusting. You have to adjust to where you're going to. Okay. So that will help you a lot with that. Because again, if you have go around jet lag, as I said, you won't feel great. It's going to take from your holidays. You're going to make bad choices because your brain's not functioning right. So you're going to be drawn to eating the wrong things, drinking the wrong things, and also you're going to be releasing lots of cortisol from the poor sleep, which is what happens when you sleep poorly. And if you're kind of feeling stressed and anxious and angry and all those kind of negative emotions, you're going to release more cortisol then as well. Okay? So there are a few little tips again for holidays. As I said, when you're on holidays, I'm a big advocate of pressing the off switch. Press the off switch, go have fun, do what you want, but within reason. Unless you decide, you know what, I don't care what happens after this holiday. I don't care if I gain 2 stone. I don't care if I'm tired for a week. I'm doing X, Y, Z, and I'm going head for leather. If you decide that, that's fine. Remember, life is about making decisions. This is the problem for people. They're stay in a kind of halfway house, not really making a decision. Making a decision means you're in control. So if you decide I'm going to have 20 drinks a day, perfect. You have decided that. Where if you go, I'll have a couple, you go out and then you wake up 9 o'clock next morning, you know where you are, clothes are all torn, like the Hangover movies, a tiger in the corner. Like that's different because it wasn't the plan and then it went out of control. If you're in control, you make your decisions. That's why before you go on holiday, decide on the parameters, decide what you want to do, and then go and do that. And be realistic about it. It's meant to be a holiday, so enjoy yourself, have a great time. But if you want to keep it reasonably on track and damage limitations, then implement some of the tips that I've given you. Now, if you have any questions about anything I've shared, please do ask them. Contact me directly or put a comment below the podcast episode wherever you see it. That's probably preferred because other people will benefit then from the answer that may have a similar question. If there's anything I haven't covered, that is a question you have about holidays, again, same thing. Put as a comment below wherever you watch or listen to this podcast, or if you prefer, contact me directly and I'll answer for you. Okay. The main thing is I'm here for you. I'm here to add value to you and help you and educate you and hopefully motivate you guys. So make use of the content I'm putting out there. What would really help, the only thing I ever ask of you is please subscribe and follow the podcast. And ideally as well, share it out there with others because, at the end of the day, that helps me to get out to more people, which means there's more people being positively impacted, which at the end of the day is my purpose. So help me that way. It'd be great. Also by subscribing and following, Ted's algorithm here, kick this one out there to more people, but also means that you're definitely always notified of new episodes. So take care, implement what I said. Remember, knowledge is not power, it's implementation, and knowledge is always power. And as I say, get back to me any questions and subscribe. Take care. Talk to you in the next episode.